Welcome to the Leading Conversations podcast, sponsored by the Excel Leadership Network. On each episode, JD Pairing will have conversations with church planting pastors and leaders from around the country. You can learn more about how to connect with Excel at the end of this podcast. Let's join JD now and listen in on this leading conversation.
It's time for another Leading Conversations podcast here with Excel Leadership Network. And today we are pleased to have the toast of Temecula. Casey and Aimee Graves are here with us. Thanks for being here, guys.
Than's for having us.
The toast of Temecula.
Tell me about Temecula. I was watching what's the hot rod show that they do? One of the Netflix, they buy and sell cars is from Temecula. Have you seen it?
I've heard about it. I don't know anything about it.
Gotham City. Anyway, I don't know much about like Temecula. Tell us what we need to know about Temecula.
Temecula is diverse. Lots of different colors. We're known for our wine country. We have a beautiful old town. We don't have a downtown. We're not like cool like Sacramento, but we do have an old town. And
it's touristy on the weekends. Lots of people come in from the surrounding areas, north and south. They come for the weekends, and essentially it is old town and wine country. Those are our two highlights. So
nobody's from Temecula. Everybody moved to Temecula within the last 20 plus years, from Orange County, San Diego, LA County.
We're very suburban, lots of young families, people moving for what we say is a more traditional experience. And so even a lot of people who have found us and in our community are people from those different LA County, San Diego County, Orange County, and they're just looking to raise their kids.
Mm-hmm.
Well, good. But before we get into your story, why did you guys move there?
Because we're from the Northwest and we like the sun.
That's not true.
We got connected back in 2014 with a church planting initiative called the San Diego Church Plant Movement. And so ever since 2014, when we talked about planting a church, we're like, San Diego has to be an option. And so in the midst of the conversations, one of our mentors said, "Hey, I got a guy in Temecula." So for whatever reason, Temecula stood out. So you start Googling, you do the Wikipedia, you do the research. And in November 2020, we spent 3.5 days driving around San Diego County and spent a day in Temecula and felt like the Lord was saying, "This is your place and these are your people." You want to add to that? You have a dream.
Yeah. I mean, I think one of the things that's interesting is a part of the church planting initiative was San Diego County. And Temecula was just this odd spot on the map that was just outside of San Diego County. And as we drove around and we really prayed, Temecula was the only one that wasn't within that parameter. And when we went up there, it just felt different. It felt like there was a different level of peace on it. As we went around and kind of stopped at the different stops in the coffee shop and things like that, we connected with people and it felt as if this was a place that we could really see ourselves. And for me, the first day we left, we pulled back onto the highway to go back to San Diego. And I got really actually emotional. Like, I'm not ready to leave this place yet, which was an interesting kind of experience. So
she cried a little.
I did.
Wow. Most people cry when they leave San Diego. And I know Temecula is not San Diego County, but it kind of considers itself San Diego County, right?
I don't know.
Yeah, look, we're Riverside. We're kind of just right there in the valley is kind of how we are. We're in the valley.
Well, cool. Well, I'm so glad you're there. Tell us your story. Tell us how you each came to Christ.
Go.
I was 8 years old. My stepmother at the time, she actually led me to Jesus, and I was a part of it. a little church. We had about 50 people all throughout my childhood in that church. And it was incredible. I really had a sweet experience of Jesus throughout my growing up, and stayed pretty close to him. It wasn't until I was 17, I moved out and moved in with family that didn't know Jesus. And it was at that point where I had the decision to make, like, am I going to choose this for myself, or am I going to, go about? And I just felt like I really wanted to stay close to Jesus. And that was kind of my moment of deciding. And I got involved in a church, started serving, and met Casey pretty shortly after that. Is when we connected, and we've been in ministry for most of our marriage.
Yeah, I did not grow up going to church. We moved a couple times. We landed in Vancouver, Washington, and one of my teammates, Adam Sawney, invited me to go to youth group with him for the fall launch, our junior year. And so, of course, I'm like, hey, yeah, sounds great. And so for 6 months, he would pick me up on Wednesdays. We'd go to youth group and drive home. And about 6 months of this goes by. And, when we're having some conversations like, hey, is Jesus and God, are they the same thing? I know nothing. And so one day on the way home, he says, hey, Casey, do you believe that Jesus died on the cross for your sins? And I had a weird confidence that night. And I was like, yeah, I do believe that. Then he said, do you believe that Jesus rose from the dead on the third day? And I, again, had that weird faith confidence and said, yeah, I do believe that. And he goes, well, do you want to become a Christian? I was like, yeah. And so he goes, there's a prayer that we need to say now, but I don't know it, so we'll just say it later. And the rest is history.
So I take it you said it later.
Yeah, he took me to a class called Discovery 101. He convinced me with free food. I said, sounds boring. He goes, there's free food and I'll go with you. And I said, okay. And so, of course, the pastor lays out the you're on one side of the cliff and God's on the other side of the cliff, and Jesus, is the bridge. And that illustration saved my life. And I said the prayer at the end.
Mm-hmm. You got to tell the story really quick about how he ended up at our launch.
Oh, no, not yet. Not yet.
Okay. Go for it. You can't tease us.
Okay. So, Adam Sawney, after high school, he moved to San Diego to go to school at Point Loma and never came home. And so it just is kind of cool that we landed in Temecula, which is like 45, maybe an hour away from where he lives. So I called him up a month before we launched the church. And I said, hey, we're launching this church and we would love to have you in the first few weeks of our launch. And I don't hear from him again. And we have like a Jersey Sunday, one of the Sundays, and in comes this family full of like Seahawks jerseys and hats and t-shirts. And he was like, look, Seahawks, and I was like, that's Adam Sawney, So Adam Sawney comes in, and at the end of the service, at the end of my sermon, I sit down, Aimee comes up, and the service is supposed to be done. And Aimee's like, Casey, I think you need to share your story. We have this moment. You need to come up and share your story about how you came to know the Lord. So, of course, I go up, tell the story I just told, introduce my friend Adam, and I blame him for the whole thing, because I said, this church plant is pretty much your fault. So,
and he pulled him up on stage, and Adam had never heard that perspective that Casey had shared so many times. So it was such a beautiful, like, full circle moment where he was able to be there and just see that moment of courage. And, it was really meaningful, actually.
And we both cried a little bit.
You did. Yeah.
Wow. That's really cool. Well, how did you guys meet then?
The short story is we met on a blind date, on an accidental blind date. So none of our stories,
accidental blind date.
None of our stories are simple. My buddy said, hey, you got to meet this girl. And I said, sounds great. I like girls. And so he and I were going to go hang out with these two girls, and with, the expectation I would connect with one of them. And last minute he backs out and says, you still got to go hang out with these, you still got to go meet this girl. So I said, I'll call one of my buddies. If he can go, then I'll go. But anyway. So of course I call Adam Sani.
Same buddy.
Adam Sani, if you're listening to this, you've ruined my life.
Hey.
I was just kidding.
Welcome to the Adam Sani podcast.
Yeah.
So me and Adam go and pick up these two girls at Amy's aunt's house, and Amy's friend. We're 19, so we're calling shotgun, we're rollerblading, all the things, right? And the whole time, I think I'm supposed to meet Amy, and the other girl is like, she's all.
We thought the opposite. We thought that she was meeting him, and I was hanging out with the buddy that he brought. So the whole time was this miscommunication of.
It was awkward, to say the least. So at the end of the date, I said, hey, that was weird. Do you want to hang out with me by ourselves sometime?
And of course, to my best friend, I'm like, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to do that. I don't know what happened. So meant to be.
So then we went on a date, and she paid. She paid for the first date.
Yeah.
The
rest is history.
And that's why Adam Sani moved to San Diego and never moved back. He's embarrassed that Amy didn't want anything to do with him. Is that right?
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Well, you talked about being in ministry earlier. How did you get involved in ministry?
We started dating. She lived in Portland. I lived in Vancouver. And I was plugged in. I was serving in youth ministry. I was like the game guy for youth group. And then it was a small group leader. And I just got more and more involved. And so when we were dating, we were probably way too serious about dating. But we wanted to explore what a future would look like at the same church. So of course she kind of plugged into kind of my world, if you will. And I was an intern for a year. I think I was 19 and 20 years old, and really loved it. And I didn't have any real direction for my future, but they were looking for a youth pastor. So
that's generally how it works, isn't it? You're not doing anything. How about being the youth pastor?
In middle school at that.
Yeah. So they brought in Slingshot. They were looking nationwide for a youth pastor. And, there's this 21-year-old who has no direction for their future. So they're like, hey, so I threw my name in the hat and got hired. I remember I was in the elder board meeting for an interview, and the lead pastor at the time, who's no taller than 5'8", maybe 5'9". I was on this low chair. He was on a really high chair. So I just remember looking up to him and feeling weird about that. And he just goes, if this is an experiment, we need to know right now. And it was a total experiment. And I was like, no, I feel called. I was sweating bullets, never been in an elder meeting before. And I'm pretty sure that was the last elder board meeting I was in.
For a while.
They hired me.
Yeah.
So I was the middle school director. And honestly, I got hired on July 1st. We got married on July 9th. And then like a week after, so then we go on our honeymoon. And then a week later, I'm leading summer camp for 60 middle school kids.
In the middle of some desert in Washington.
So there you go. So I was there. We were there for 7 years. We were maybe 8 years, something like that. And about 4 years into it, I realized this isn't an experiment. I really do feel like God is inviting us into this in a deeper way. So I think it took 4 or 5 years for me to really, and maybe for even you, to realize, okay, this is something that we could do for a long time. So
That's crazy. So basically everything you've done has been an accident. Is kind of
Pretty much.
yeah, pretty much. Except we do have one child that we adopted.
I knew you were going to say that. The one.
We did choose him.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's good. Talk about, well, how did you get, other than this pull of San Diego, how did you get involved in church planting? What was the pull there?
Do you want me to start?
I mean, I really think it was sitting down at lunch with Brandon. I mean, I think that was a big catalyst in 2000, what you were talking about, 2014, right?
Yeah, I would say this. We started having, we were a part of launching a multi-site campus when I was a youth pastor in my first church. And I really liked that. In fact, I'm a 26-year-old kid, and I'm like, I hope they choose me to be the campus pastor, but they chose somebody mature. And then we were a part of another church, very large church, we launched another campus. And it was during this season where it was like, man, it'd be really cool to start something new. What would, so then you have the fun conversation, like, hey, if we had our own church, what would we name it? Who would we want to come and be a part of that team to launch it? And so we started playing around with that conversation, I think in 2012, 13, 14, something around there. And then we got connected with Brandon Grant down here in San Diego.
Sure.
Started really trying to figure out, okay, is this the season we're going to plant? So we're so naive at that point, but really feeling like, no, it's not the time. And then again in 2015, having a conversation with one of my mentors, and we were talking about maybe planting a church, and both of our wives simultaneously with wisdom said, not right now. So then fast forward, I'm on staff at a church as an associate pastor, and I'm like, we need to launch a new gathering that feels different if we're going to reach the younger generation. So we're like, so let's start it in 4 weeks, and we did, we're like, let's have 4 prayer gatherings. Let's divide up some responsibilities and some roles and see how it goes. And it was, it was successful for whatever reason. And I think I don't know, it just the starting things never went away. And then in 2019, I think there were some vision pieces that were starting to happen in our hearts and in our brains together that was different than the church that we worked at. And it was like, so what happened initially was a frustration, like, why are we're doing it all wrong, and I remember driving in my car one day after probably months of frustration, because our church was doing it all wrong. And this sentence came to my mind, and I'm really thankful for it because it gave me a lot of freedom. The sentence was, I don't know if I could do it better, but I would do it differently. And that gave me a lot of freedom. It relieved the pressure. It just brought the frustration level down to a minimum, and it allowed me to begin a meaningful conversation with Aimee, and then invite my lead pastor into that conversation about like, hey, we've been butting heads a little bit, but I don't think it's bad. I think God might be doing something new. And Aimee and I feel like maybe church planting is on the horizon. Would you come and would you help kind of coach us through that process? You want to add anything to that?
Yeah. I mean, I think part of it was that it was there, but we weren't ready or the time wasn't right. And so we kept, it kept coming up until a point where it felt like that changed to a conviction. And so then it was in 2019 where it really felt like we can't escape from this. And so we started making significant moves toward it. And that's when, God just really, really moved, and with favor on so many things. But even our lead pastor was like, yes, I see this, I affirm this. And he just walked so graciously through that with us with support and encouragement, and helped so much in discerning. So
we do have the best sending church, by the way. We have the best
ever.
So, just saying.
Yeah.
Good. And they're not doing things all wrong anymore.
Oh my gosh. I can't tell you. I'm so grateful.
Yeah.
For the mentorship, for the care, for the support, for the freedom.
I honestly think that's such a key thing that Casey had to learn. But even as people are traveling down this, am I supposed to plant or not? And they feel that tension of what he just expressed, and recognizing that God may be giving you a different vision. And it doesn't mean that what is currently happening is bad or wrong. It just means that there may be something that you're meant to carry. And I think that's just such a cool freedom for people to pick up, if they pick anything up from this. And there may be something that God's calling you into, and not because anything's wrong,
Well, it takes an incredible amount of maturity too for the lead pastor to be able to say, I recognize that. And instead of you're fired, get out of here, you're a terrible person. Let me walk through this with you.
Yeah, 100%.
Oh yeah. And I can't say enough good about how he's managed. And it's not just him. It's like the staff team. It's the board.
And the whole church, really, the whole church. Yeah.
It's just been, I don't know, tons of humility, tons of sadness, but like encouragement, and, just been so sweet. So.
Wow, that's wonderful. Hey, I'm going to ask you each for a leadership tip. But before we get there, what's the best thing about planting a church? You've been in it since launch, almost 6 months?
Yeah, we're 5 months. We're
5 months.
Yeah.
What's the best thing?
I'll just say the first thing that came to my mind. My birthday's like in 10 days. Last year, where do we send gifts? That's the last year I didn't even want to acknowledge my birthday. I like to hang out with people. This year we're talking about like, who are we gonna invite? And like,
how do we not invite everyone?
I just want to invite everyone. It's like there's so many people. The people are the best part. Last year I had no one to invite to my party. Now we don't know where to draw the line. It's just like there's just so many significant relationships that have developed over the course of the last year, and it's honestly overwhelming.
Yeah.
How cool it is.
Yeah. I mean, my first thought was the people. A couple parts of that is, you come to a new area and you're like, is anyone going to come? Or how is God going to build this? We had a picture in our mind of it differently than it is. And honestly, I'm blown away over and over and over again at the quality of people that are in our life right now. That's enjoyable, like that I really, truly love and enjoy. And then the other part of it is we feel like God has really uniquely blessed our church with diversity, in a way that like people mention all the time, as they come in our doors. It's just so incredibly diverse, and our family is diverse. And so it just feels as if it's this gift that we get to be a part of. We didn't make happen. We aren't controlling it. It's just this beautiful, multicultural, welcoming experience that, I really, really am thankful for and enjoy and love and want to steward well. So
that's phenomenal. Well, happy birthday. I was thinking my wife had a big birthday. We we launched in October. Her birthday's in January. She had a big birthday, so we did a surprise party for her, and we had just moved as well. We had over 100 people at our house, and we did this thing in the backyard. And I'll never forget, we had a bunch of people on the roof, just sitting up there watching it. And it was like, man, we just moved here. Where did all these people come from? And so many of those people have been lifelong friends.
That's cool.
Yeah. So I hope you have that same thing. Just let us know when the party is, and we'll come and crash it.
Nice.
But how about a leadership tip? One leadership tip. And you guys have mentioned some stuff already, but what would you say?
I think you need to spend time with God every day. I think you need to leadership isn't enough. It's not enough. You need God. If you want to live a life of impact beyond what you bring, you need God. And my time with God has saved my life over and over and over again. And I would not be the man, the friend, the leader I am without God. And so I just think, man, you want your life to be different? Spend time with God every day.
Wonderful.
You should have gotten last. You should have ended with that.
Sorry.
Mine's not as emotional, but honestly, for me, even in this journey, and maybe it's more significant for women, but I think really figuring out what you're uniquely, how you're wired and how you're made, and not trying to fit into anyone else's box or definition of what it is it looks like to be a leader, or, especially when you're doing things together with your spouse. Like, that's just been incredibly freeing for me to acknowledge what I bring into a room, especially on Sunday mornings or during the work week, and really figure out, like, this is how God has called me to show up, and not have to be anyone else. Has been really, really freeing for me.
This is where
what he said.
This is where we plug Excel. This is why we love Excel. It's because you guys, I don't even know. This might be inappropriate, but or you can edit it out. But this is why I tell people about Excel, because you guys care about who the person is and try to bring out. We kind of have this phrase at the church: call out the gold in people's lives, and try to figure out and coach and maximize the gold that God's put in their life in a leadership, church planting context. And that's why I love Excel so much.
Well, and that's the cool thing about church planting is you can go in and you don't have all these other expectations put on you. We might be carrying those in, but we can set up our life to be what God's called us to do. And I think that's part of just the Christian journey as you're getting closer and closer to God, just trying to figure out, okay, God, what's my unique ability that you've called me to do? And breaking out of those boxes, and also just going, wow, why was I doing that? I'm terrible at that. But that's really cool that that's happening for you. We're so excited about you guys. You are the toast of Temecula. We'll have to come to, what is the wine? What's their, do they have I'm not a wine guy,
sure.
But
they're Italian varietal grapes. So Montepulciano. We're not I like Pepsi. So
okay.
Wine gives I'll drink a glass of wine and wake up with a total migraine the next day. So
yeah.
So I like Pepsi.
We like the vibe of the environment of the wineries. They're beautiful.
Yeah.
What's the best year for Pepsi, by the way? Is it 2022? Is that that's
oh my gosh.
Well, I'm enjoying a Diet Mountain Dew here. Circa 1989, I think. But anyway, thank you guys so much. Thanks for what you're doing. We're really excited about that. We'll have to come down and check out Temecula. Thanks so much.
Thanks, guys.
Bye. Thanks.
Thanks for joining the Leading Conversations podcast. We hope that you found it both helpful and encouraging. At Excel Leadership Network, our focus is on the church planter rather than the church. If you'd like to find out more about us, visit our webpage at excelnetwork.org. Don't forget to subscribe to this podcast so you don't miss any future episodes. See you next time with another leading conversation.